Hi, and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 Lockdown podcast. It's Paul here with...
Sean.
Chris.
And Lee, that's definitely not caught off guard and might be buying a game on Steam.
Go on, what you buying?
Cloudpunk.
What the hell's that when it's at home?
Right.
Please tell me it's a vaping simulator.
No, it's not, unfortunately.
It sounds like it should be. Oh.
You went quiet then.
Yeah, you did. You just said
No,
nothing.
so not only is he buying a game, he's downloading it and using all his bandwidth, so he might be quiet tonight.
Oh, Lee.
It's, if you think of old school GTA, like top down GTA, but instead of being in a city, it's in like Blade Runner future, and it's all voxely and cool.
Might have a look at that one at some point. Been too busy on iRacing and Uncharted and anything else that's being given away free at the minute.
Yeah.
Oh, have you got all of the Uncharted games, Paul?
Yeah, the first three Sony are giving away to all PlayStation owners for staying in.
Oh, nice. I've already got them, but up to the end of the fourth one, I think that's the first time I played like a full, like I was about to say trilogy then, quadrilogy of games, like a full family of games from start to end, sort of as they came out. I love the Uncharted games. I thought they were brilliant.
I do. I thought the last one was a masterpiece.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna have a go at them at some point. It's just bizarrely the way things are these days. Finding the time.
Do you know what? I have less time now than I did beforehand, because there was always like a couple of hours in the day or something where if I finished early or something like that, where there'd be no child and no girlfriend and I could just do stuff. But there's people here all the time now.
They won't leave.
They won't. It's like they think they fucking live here, mate.
I think I'm probably in a similar thing in that I would normally get home from work and have the place to myself, but Paul, you're here.
I'm here, but I'm still working. And
just like Nico Rosberg.
I'm currently sat in Izzy's work space. I'm in the office, which is actually just a third bedroom. It's not really an office. But yeah, so Izzy spends most of the day in here, and then she comes downstairs when she finishes work, and I'm just like, well, you've just been upstairs. Surely it can't feel like you've finished work if you've just been upstairs.
Yeah,
you haven't got that time to leave the building and just sort of do that thing where you have a bit of a sigh and sort of just like a collective sort of just thinking about what you're going to do when you get home, if you're already at home.
Yeah, I've got it worse than that. I'm about 10 feet away from my desk.
Yeah, I know where your computer's set up.
Yeah, and then once we finish this podcast, I will be going back into my home office to mix the damn thing and upload it. And I've also been asked, once I'm done at about 10 o'clock, any chance I can jump back onto the work servers and just do a little bit of a server maintenance routine at 10 o'clock tonight.
How much are you charging?
It's to be discussed, but there's going to be at least a day's holiday involved.
Oh, very nice.
Where are you going to go on a day's holiday?
I was going to say, exactly, a day's holiday is what you don't want right now, surely.
Well, I've got like 4 weeks to take before the end of September, and I don't know how I'm going to manage to use it.
You're going to do exactly the same thing as you're doing now, but without the work during the day.
You say that, but I booked Friday off, right? Because Thursday night it was the first round of the NFL draft, and as you know, bit of an NFL fan, mainly the 49ers.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm gonna stay up and watch that. Go to bed around about sort of 4-ish, have a lie in till maybe 10 or 11, just not do any work during the day. By 1 o'clock that afternoon, I was sick of my phone ringing or buzzing itself off the table, and had to answer a load of emails and emergency support calls. And then, joy of joys, on my day off, had to do an anti-money laundering course.
Oh, lovely.
Ugh. That is one day off I'll never get back. But yeah, I just want a day away from the computer where I can turn the PlayStation on.
The other computer.
The other computer, the fun one rather than the business one.
The fun pewter.
I've been pricing up fun pewters at the minute. I can't do it yet, but I think I might buy a fun pewter.
When's that ever stopped you?
You got one of those. It was an Alien laptop that you got. You still got that?
Oh yeah, she's grand, and that's what I'm using at the moment, plugged into the monitor for when I'm using it doing iRacing and stuff like that. But I think there's more games coming out that I think will be good on PC, like Cyberpunk and stuff like that. I like playing things with whizzy bang graphics.
Yeah, but as you've discussed before, to get the whizzy bang graphics, you've got to spend a whizzy banging hell of a lot of money.
About £1,000 is what I've been looking at, for about 1,100 quid.
Okay, that's the graphics card taken care of. And now, what about the rest of the box?
No, as long as you don't go Nvidia and just go for AMD stuff, it's not too bad.
Anyway, we're going completely off track here, venturing into Patreon territory, and seeing as we've mixed both of these shows these days at the minute while there's no F1, there's some F1 to talk about.
Yeah, there's actually some kind of news to discuss in we got the official cancellation of the French Grand Prix for the rest of the season.
Yep, now that is absolutely 100% cancelled. There will not be a French Grand Prix.
Even in the new calendar that's going to come out.
Yeah.
And then we've got I'm pretty sure the British Grand Prix has been cancelled as well.
Postponed is the official one, which means it can happen this year.
But not with fans.
But not with fans. What Silverstone have said is if the British Grand Prix was to go ahead, it would be behind closed doors.
Yeah, which makes sense. I think Formula One themselves put out a video earlier on Twitter with basically just stating what they said earlier on, that the season is going to start in Europe and is going to be probably behind closed doors until October, November time, which is when they're looking at getting to the Americas.
Yeah, so what they are actually planning on doing is, according to their official tweet from 9:47 this morning, an official statement from Chase Carey, starting in Austria on the weekend of July 3rd to 5th. So a little over 2 months away.
Which is good news for us, because that is a bank holiday weekend.
It is over here,
It
isn't
is.
it? Yes, we've got bank holiday on the Monday, so we can actually have a stay-at-home virtual lockdown drink while you celebrate watching a Grand Prix party.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to.
It's not compulsory, but it's the Isle of Man, so you drink on that weekend anyway.
Yes.
Because it's a weekend, or because it's a day.
Well, you get the Monday off, so that calls for Sunday drinking, and obviously it's Independence Day weekend in the US, so you probably get the Monday off as a bank holiday as well. So everybody suffers, drinks, gets hungover. But from the looks of things, it's going to be 2 consecutive race weekends at the Red Bull Ring.
So the rounds 1 and 2.
Round 1 and
Red
2,
Bull Ring.
followed by a couple of rounds at Silverstone.
3 and 4.
They usually follow.
I'm just trying to count up to the because they need at least 8 races, don't they? Which is
8 races on 3 continents. That's the major issue.
well, they're claiming 4 continents here. Looking at their thing, but I don't think it counts because what they've got is they got Europe. Yes, that's definitely a continent. Eurasia, no, that's a band from the 80s. And so Asia, yes, that's a continent. The Americas are a continent, so that's their 3 continents. But then they've just thrown in Middle East,
Which is
which
Asia.
it's an area.
It's
It
part
rouses-
of Asia, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. It roused my suspicion when they tried to put Oceania in as well.
That's a real one.
That's a real continent.
What is it?
Yes.
Oh, right, sorry. Carry on.
Fake Australia.
Is this like
Yeah.
our mate's daughter who thought Lapland and reindeers didn't exist and they were just made up as part of the whole Santa story?
No, it's absolutely not.
I mean, climate-wise, it's very much the polar opposite.
Nice.
Is this the girl who has the Facebook
Facebook
group?
the Facebook tribute group to the things that she said?
Duck, is
Yeah,
it made
just-
from real duck?
Yeah, was it set up by her parents?
No, I think it was a mum's best mate that did it. And
I thought it was a colleague,
Oh, was
but
it?
the parents do contribute more than most other people.
Amazing.
So, subject to things going completely even more tits up than they currently are, Formula One are looking at starting in Austria, September, October, November, racing in Eurasia, Asia, and the Americas, and finishing the season in the Gulf in December with Bahrain and Abu Dhabi, and being able to get 15 to 18 races in.
Yeah, we discussed last week, didn't we? Was it Sean? Did you say that there were 5 configurations of the Bahrain circuit that could be used for a Formula One race? I wouldn't mind bet.
Yes, there are
Yeah.
5 that have Grade 1 status with the FIA.
And we know that Abu Dhabi has the contract to hold the final race of the season, so that's why the Middle East is in December, or why they're aiming at the moment for the Middle East to
And
end
they
the
also
season in
have the
December.
weather for it in December, unlike the majority of the places.
Yeah. Well, Australia could hold a race. They used to close the season off in like October, November time, didn't they? But it's looking at Bahrain. I wouldn't be surprised if talking about Austria having 2 races to start the season and Silverstone having a couple. I really wouldn't be surprised to see 2, maybe even 3 rounds at Bahrain before heading off to Abu Dhabi. Quite likely the week before Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, we could be going up to sort of mid-December, sort of 18th, 19th, latest finish yet. Also, the Circuit de Catalunya Barcelona, to give it its full name now.
Yes. Barcelona.
Barcelona. They've also said they're open to hosting a race in the summer, which is a departure from their usual one because they normally kick off the European season around about May. And the reason that they don't have races in during the summer is mainly because of tourism.
They host a lot of other things there as well. Don't
Yeah.
They have the bikes. I think they have a few different brands of bike.
Yeah.
I think they have a lot of the lesser formula. Like I think they have regional European. They have Euro Formula.
Rallycross go
yeah.
there. World
Yeah.
Rallycross.
There's things there more weekends than there aren't, I think.
Yeah, but now it looks like Barcelona have said they should be available to host a behind closed doors race in July or August. So that gives another option for actually getting a European race in. To quote the Autosport article, usually Barcelona would not want a summer date because locals are on holiday and the city is busy with tourists, but the current situation and the prospect of a closed doors event means that all options are open.
Fair enough.
So let's try and work out a calendar then, shall we? Just for shits and giggles. So we got Austria, and then again Austria, and then I've got my notepad here in front of me. I'm not just saying words out loud. And then
I do wonder sometimes.
2 rounds of Britain, which would have been the British Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Whether they might give them different names or not, I'm not entirely sure.
The British Grand Prix and the UK Grand Prix.
Maybe, yeah, Austria and Bavaria, perhaps.
Yeah, so then we have the... I mean, if Barcelona does too, you could have the Spanish Grand Prix and the Catalan Grand Prix.
Works
You
for
certainly could. That
MotoGP.
wouldn't go down well, would it? But so
I mean, to be honest, with where Barcelona is, you could actually have the Andorran Grand Prix and the Catalan Grand Prix, and you could leave Spain out of the equation completely, and I think, to be honest, most of Catalonia would be happy with that.
It does go by the Catalan Grand Prix in the MotoGP calendar, doesn't it?
Because the
It does,
Spanish Grand
yeah.
Prix is Jerez?
Valencia.
Valencia?
I think it's
Or,
Valencia.
or one of the others. It's just an excuse for Spain to have as many MotoGP races as possible to sell more Marquez merch.
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be full races?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be full race weekends, but there'll be full distance races.
I see. I feel it's going to be a GP2 type situation with a sprint race.
Now this lends itself to what you caught Lando Norris saying on an interview, Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to explain that to the masses in your
He said,
newly deepened voice?
At some point, he was asked what the what was going on Formula One season wise, and he said that he didn't know, nothing had been sort of put forward, but he'd been told to physically prepare for 2 races a weekend from July till the end of the year.
He shouldn't have to physically prepare. He's young and he's not long come out of F2. He'd be fine.
I'm sure it'll be fine. But like I can't see it being 2 full race distances because just for the like components and stuff you'd need to bring to the circuits to do 2 full races.
Yeah, but if it's two full races in consecutive weeks, maybe when they're saying do 2 races, was it 2 races a week or 2 races a weekend?
Weekend.
I mean, if they're doing 2 races a weekend, they're not going to be doing full practice sessions, so engine usage shouldn't be an issue. And if they're only doing 15 to 18 rounds, they'd probably have one going spare anyway. I would have thought.
They also don't have to worry about having on-track action at any time to keep fans in the like in the cut circuit.
Yeah, so I think we can probably take from this what we'll be kissing goodbye to F2 and F3 this year.
Yes, yeah, she's
Yeah,
gone.
I would imagine so.
Which saves Williams a problem because they now don't need to find an excuse not to put Dan Ticktum in the car.
Well, seems odd.
Well, he never completes a season with anyone, does he?
I don't know. All right.
He's your favourite driver. You should know more about him.
I feel I feel like this is an attack on Dan Ticktum and myself.
Are you not his agent?
No, not at the minute. Not at the minute. Well, there's nothing going, is there? I've had to put him on the wage replacement scheme, so he's getting £280 a week. So
No, apparently,
we'll just.
Apparently, he rage quit the Williams challenge that was showing live on TV last night because he was last, so he switched off.
Right, I've written down a calendar, and
Go on,
I'm
take us
getting,
through your calendar.
Well, just whilst you go, I've got a 17 race calendar, only using the first 2 races twice. So I've got Austria, as we just discussed, Britain. Oh no, sorry, and then Spain, 2 Spains as well, and then we're looking at. If they're going to start the European season early July, you've got to say that we're going to be in August by that time. So then we revert to almost the original calendar for the next few races: Hungary, Belgium, and Italy.
It will definitely not be Belgium. They're doing no sport until the end of September.
No sport in Belgium. I'll get rid of Belgium.
Because everyone is dead.
Okay.
One thing that hasn't been mentioned is Germany is about to start doing sport behind closed doors, so we could see a surprise reprieve for Hockenheim.
Well, let's put Germany in there then, where Belgium was.
Yeah, same colours of flag, slightly different config, but
Yeah, just slightly different configuration, as you say. Sort of flip it upside down and then rearrange the colours around a bit. They are same race.
Then you've got a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, or we could have the Belgian Grand Prix at the Nürburgring. We've had the Luxembourg one there before, so why not? We've got so round 7 at Hungary, round 8 Germany maybe, round 9 Italy, depending on the situation, of course, in Italy, and then it says September, October, Eurasia and Asia. So all I can think of for that
Russia.
really is Baku and Sochi. That's it.
yes.
Baku, Sochi, and then you're looking at Singapore, Japan, and then the very hotly contested as to whether or not they're ever going to happen, Vietnam, China, and then finishing Bahrain, Abu Dhabi. That's 17 rounds.
I mean, there is always a chance that because nothing been cancelled yet in US, Mexico, and Brazil.
I've totally forgotten all about them.
So yeah, it may.
Should we say that China and Vietnam probably not going to happen, are they? Let's be honest.
Probably
I
not.
can't see Vietnam happening because it's a street circuit. That would be the issue.
US and Mexico in their places.
I would say Mexico probably more likely than US at the moment.
Canada, no.
Don't think Canada's going to happen because again, parts of that are public road.
Yeah, they've got quite a small window weather-wise as well, haven't they? I think they said.
Yeah, there's not a chance.
So
There's
should we
not a
go-
chance of holding it before after the end of September.
US, Mexico, Brazil then.
That-
And then we've got 18 races.
That would work. I think we might lose Baku. Might lose one of Baku or Sochi.
Sochi, I
This
think,
is a
has
good
the bigger,
game. I like
the
this
bigger
game.
checkbook, would be my guess there. You want to tell
What?
Putin he's not getting his race?
I know also.
No.
they
Tell him that he is getting
they've
his
had very
race.
few cases, haven't they?
Allegedly. Tell Putin.
Allegedly.
Tell Putin that he is getting his race, but don't go there and just put one camera and the ghost of Jeremy Beadle in the cool-down room and let him turn up in there afterwards, expecting to see the drivers, and then there's just nobody. Gotcha.
Oh dear, that's not going to work. Also, it was Noel Edmonds that did gotchas.
Well, I know, but Jeremy Beadle was the bigger pranker. I said pranker.
I just want him to shake hands with Robert Kubica.
Who? Jeremy Beadle.
Yeah.
Do the American listeners know Jeremy Beadle?
I have a vague idea that the answer is not got a clue who he is.
That's one for them to Google.
Yeah. But on the other hand,
Oh, come on.
sorry.
But no, I like this game. I want people to tweet us. We all got our own individual Twitter handles. You can tweet us. You can tweet me at Flood21. Your idea for a calendar going forward from July the 3rd to the 5th in Austria, and see what you can come up with. Because I've got Austria, Britain, Spain, Hungary, Germany, Italy, Baku, Sochi, Singapore, Japan, US, Mexico, Brazil, Bahrain, Abu Dhabi for 18 races. And it just happens to be a list of places that I'm not going to finish that joke.
I suppose the thing is, when you think about it, if we can actually have a race in Spain, I don't see why we can't have a race anywhere. Because Spain has been ravaged, hasn't it?
Yeah, they started relieving their lifting their sanctions on the people, relaxing their social distancing measures, etc. They allowed children to go outside for the first time in 6 weeks yesterday, so they're slowly relaxing it. A lot of the
Spanish Corona lockdown fact. My mum's had to get a fake ID saying that she's younger than she is so she can go to the shop because no over 70s are actually allowed to do any shopping.
Amazing.
That's illegal. That
So-
is illegal.
So for the first time in history, somebody's got a fake ID to make themselves younger to buy booze.
Fucking crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Where do they check your ID? Like on the way out of the compound, or?
Usually when you're queuing to get into a shop, but my mum's never been checked so far, but she has got a hastily altered document with her.
Is that from the same
Oh,
person who does the
dear.
aircon?
It might be from the same person that does the aircon, knowing my parents' aircon supplier and other things that he supplies, and it turned out not to be CBD.
Well, no, I think it was CBD. It just that it wasn't just CBD. Was the
CBD
issue.
was involved in it in a smaller percentage than she'd have been expecting.
Your parents are illegal.
That's one way of describing.
I think at that point you stop calling it CBD and you just refer to them as edibles.
It was. So, going swiftly back, yeah, Spain's starting to relieve the lockdown because, thankfully, cases are starting to slow down over there. And it does mean that we are gradually looking forward to getting a resumption of, albeit behind closed doors, sport.
Yeah.
You know, there's a worry that in some quarters that our country's doing things too soon. And F1 have kind of addressed this as well in the statement, saying it just depends how the global situation goes and situations in each country that we plan on visiting. And even when we do release a calendar, it is still subject to change.
I suspect they'll probably pencil in more like 20 races, knowing full well that a
Just
handful
in
of them,
case.
yeah, some of them won't be able to take place, so that when they end up scratching a few off, they've still got enough for the championship.
Now let's go back to Lee's idea of having like the two races over a weekend, which is something that Lando Norris may or may not have let slip on purpose, or perhaps it was just a passing comment that got taken the wrong way.
Yeah.
But in which case, you'd be looking then as if they're going to go 2 consecutive weekends in Austria, rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4 in Austria.
I mean, I like Austria. I think it's a strong choice for a season opener. I think it's usually one you get a good race at. Whether you want 4 of them in a row, I don't know.
Yeah, like 2 sprint races and then 2 feature races, I guess you'd call them, if we're going to use the F2 terms.
Oh, did we decide whether Austria could be run backwards?
I want to say no
Yeah, there's a lot of runoff areas.
because it does MotoGP as well, doesn't it? So it's gravelly.
Yeah, so there's a lot of runoff areas around the corners, but there's a lot of on the insides of those corners in the normal way round. You're looking at sort of wood and trees and hills and nowhere to put gravel or runoff.
I'm trying to think of it in my head, and the only one I can really think of as being an issue would be the final turn, which is essentially which would become turn 1, but that's got a massive runoff area on it.
Turn 3 as well would be quite difficult. The one at the top of the hill, where Kimi and Alonso parked on one on top of the other.
And where Charles and Max had their coming together last year.
Yeah,
But that was virtually on the straight, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Coming
but-
off there.
yeah, but at that corner, there's nothing. The outside of that is.
It looks like a what do you call it? Like a freight park. It looks like where they put the trucks.
Right. Okay.
They're probably not.
It's probably a no. It's probably definitely not ideal.
Because there's a surprisingly few number of circuits that you could actually run backwards when you look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's,
So all those games that said pass every track and you can run everyone in reverse, they lied.
So what would be the penultimate turn, which is the one that has the big Austrian flag on the outside? If you go around it the wrong way round and go wide, you are in a forest.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Quite close.
wouldn't work.
I don't think it's one that they could get away with backwards.
Yeah, we may not get 2 ways round on that one.
Matt Steele just popped up on the chat saying it's a wall. There's no counterclockwise runoff at the Red Bull Ring.
In which case, we can definitely discount it. So, Matt Steele, who will be a guest on next week's show, by the way.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, Matt, who does a lot of simulator racing.
And other things as well. He sent us a bit of a biog. He's had an interesting career.
In driving.
In driving, and well, it even involves Wreck-It Ralph too.
Okay.
Well, yeah, how exciting! Stay tuned for that one.
Yeah, so listen out next week. Matt will be on the show, and I'm sure he'll have quite a lot of things to talk about.
You have my attention, Mr. Steele, for next week.
Before he became.
No, look, you've gone again. You're still downloading that game, aren't you?
No.
Let's hope that's all he's downloading.
Probably not.
You don't download porn anymore. It's the same as you don't download films.
You just download people's credit card details.
Yeah, occasionally.
So we can rule out Austria being 2 ways round. Will they have 2 races in one weekend or 2 race weekends? But whichever way, I think we're looking at 2-day events. Not necessarily 2 days of racing, but I think it'll just be Saturday and Sunday. Certainly for the start of the season, they'll get rid of Fridays. We'll have a single practice session, or maybe 2 practice sessions on a Saturday, qualifying Sunday morning, race Sunday afternoon.
What about the 2 races, though?
In which case, single practice.
Didn't they say they were looking at 3-day race weekends, though? Hasn't that already been said?
Ross Brawn said both actually.
I think they've just
I
generally
think you'd be looking at Friday practice with a qualifying session, or fastest time from qualifying, then a race on Saturday if they're going to do full Grand Prix distances, or qualifying on Saturday and a sprint race on Saturday.
Because they could end up doing a mix depending on what they need to get the races in. They might start off doing one race one weekend and then suddenly realise, oh, we're running out of tracks, let's start running two, or let's do a shorter race weekend here so we can get onto somewhere else for next week. They might start mixing it up a bit.
Do you think Ross Brawn
Yeah.
might use this to get his ideas through? Remember the ones he wanted to get through, and the teams kind of went against the 2 race weekends and sprint races and stuff, didn't they? When he wanted to shake the race weekend up, because he was going to do it like there was going to be a couple of like one-offs, wasn't there, this year that were vetoed. But if he can manage to slide it in to get the races in, then he could use this as a way to go, well, look, the fans thought this was great. It's if it picks TV audiences up as well, he could use this to try and prove his point about shaking the weekend up.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, there's no real hard and fast rules this season for what they can do, because at the moment all the teams are just like, tell us where we're racing, tell us what we're doing, when to be where, we'll turn up and we'll do it. Because all the teams have even said, we won't even argue over the calendar, just work out a calendar and we'll turn up at everything.
Yeah, desperate to make money is what they're doing.
Basically, yeah, because, all right, there's no attendance money and they're not going to sell any merch, but those logos that are on the car that are at the moment being seen by what employees are still working in the factory instead of being seen by millions of people on worldwide TV, that's the thing that makes the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the ideal opportunity to have a little bit of an experiment, and if it doesn't work, oh well, you've not fucked off a circuit full of fans. It's all right.
Yeah, we're not going to get a repeat of Indianapolis 2005 where there was more crap on the track than there were fans in the stands by lap 10.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think this season we may well see new developments, and it might be things that get brought in. Lee's had a good idea.
Lee
I'd love to
sometimes
good
has
idea.
good ideas.
I've saved Formula One on this program many times.
I think the thing is, Lee has lots of ideas. Every now and then, one of them will stick,
Yeah,
just by sheer
probably-
quantity.
You can
Yeah.
shoot more with a shotgun than you can with a catapult.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
We've all gone quiet.
I've got a cat in my throat.
that kind of doesn't help. Better than well, it's not slightly furrier than a frog in your throat.
Now, hang on a sec. Yeah, I was going to say, I've heard the saying that I've got a frog in my throat. That means you need to cough or clear your throat appropriately.
This was
The
literally...
phrase, I've got a cat in my throat?
Yeah, this was Bruno, stood with his arse facing me, running his tail back and forth along my throat. I felt quite threatened. It was like in a throat-slitting manner.
Yeah,
Or
fair
he just
enough.
didn't
Good
know
job
what his
there's,
tail was doing. I suspect that might be more accurate.
Yeah, that
Good job there's no razors on those cattails.
Dizzy hasn't found a way of putting them there yet,
Yeah.
but give it time. So what innovations do you think we'll get? Sprint races and feature races. Do you think they'll do anything with qualifying? Like maybe a knockout format where after about 5 minutes the slowest car gets eliminated from the
Careful
qualifying
now.
session, and then they fill the grid from the back upwards, because that's never been tried before, because those few races where it happened, it never happened. We weren't watching those at the time.
God, that was painful.
I still think there was something in that, and they changed it too quickly. They should have just stuck to that for the season, and then changed it like after the year was out.
It was badly
just-
it was badly thought out in the first place.
Yeah, I think they thought it would just be like people. Well, they thought it would be more entertaining because, because people will be going for the fastest lap, so there'll be always cars on track. And then, in actual fact, what the teams did was went out, did a quick lap, and just went, yeah, third is okay.
Yeah. What it should have been is like the full-on knockout thing where all the cars like went out from fastest practice time to slowest practice time. Then the bottom 2 cars were knocked out after a certain period. So you'd constantly have the last two cars fighting with each other to stay in qualifying.
Like a qualifying race.
Yeah.
That might work, but again, it was down to, well, it was Bernie's had an idea. Quick, let's implement it before we try it out in anything else. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, it was somebody else's fault.
Absolutely, that's absolutely what it was. But I think if we're going to have any changes for qualifying, it will just be that we don't have qualifying, and the fastest times from the FP1 and FP2 are taken as qualifying.
So sort of mix the qualifying and practice sessions all into one, and it's in your interest to get some track time in and get as good a time as possible.
Yeah, well, when you actually think about it, there's no point in having qualifying. If it would be much better if we had a sprint race on Saturday than a qualifying session, because if you had it during practice, the teams would just work it into their practice schedules that, right, we know where we are with the car. The last 20 minutes of FP2 is qualifying time, where we go for qualifying. You'll probably find teams would put a banker in, early on, like the end of FP1, for instance. Mercedes would put a lap in that they know is going to be top 5 worthy. But yeah, I just don't see the point in qualifying. If you're looking at it from the entertainment aspect, a sprint race would always be better than qualifying.
Yeah, I think the only issue with that is they would have to change the rules regarding engine parts.
Yeah, probably.
How so?
Unless
Because they only go out and do 4 or 5 laps in qualifying, don't they? Q1, as you're saying, then Q1 Hamilton will go out. He'll put in 1 lap. They'll come in again. That's it. He knows that lap's good enough to go through. Q2 he'll go out again and he'll put in maybe two runs maybe in Q2. So what's that?
that's
6 laps maybe, 2 flying laps, and then he'll go out and he'll do another 2 in Q3. So he's done a total of 5 flying laps, like 15 laps in total. 5 warm-ups, 5 flyers, and 5 cool downs, and you're not going to get a sprint race in 15 laps with less than 5 flying laps in it. So your car parts are going to wear out quicker, so you'd have to jig around with the engine parts, etc.
So to keep it with the same number of engine parts, what you would actually have to do is get the full Grand Prix distance for a single race and have 1/3 of it for a sprint race and 2/3 for a feature race.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
That would be the only way that you could actually have it without increasing the number of components that were available to teams.
I mean, you'd save money tyres,
I
wouldn't
think.
you?
Would you though?
If you worked qualifying into what you've already got for testing, so you'd essentially save all your qualifying tyres. But if it's a sprint race, I mean, what would you need? Like a set of the softs and a set of the hards sat there. You wouldn't have a pit stop in it. I wouldn't imagine, if it's just a sprint race.
If you take it the way that F2 does, the sprint race, there isn't a compulsory pit stop, and you've got a free tyre choice. So the teams usually go for the harder of the available compounds that weekend, so that they don't have to make a stop. Some teams try and push it with a softer tyre, but you've got 3 compounds available, and most teams usually end up going for the hardest one. In the feature race, it's there is a compulsory pit stop, and that we're using 2 of the available tyre compounds. So yeah, you'd save on tyres, but then wear and tear on other parts. You're looking at all your power unit components, gearboxes, radiators. Bodywork. What if you crash in the first race of the weekend? You've got to rebuild the car.
You would definitely still be using a qualifying tyre as well, because if you're incorporating quali into practice and you're having maybe a 20-minute what is now the qualifying simulation in practice, you would want a good
Yeah.
tyre for that.
Yeah, because I mean, one qualifying run takes it out of a set of tyres. You
So
don't.
yeah, if you're spending 20 minutes doing that, you are probably going to burn through a couple of sets of tyres.
Yeah.
I mean,
Different
I
loads
suppose
as well on gearboxes, suspension, and things.
Yeah, I suppose the thing would be is if you're the idea for any of these changes is to get eyes back on the sport, and I think that's the thing with having
I've
a
seen the
sprint
way
race,
I've seen
you
the
would-
way our listener numbers are going. We could do with getting ears back on it as well.
Yeah, but you could, yeah, but you'd like to think that your sprint race would draw more people than the qualifying session. So hopefully, if you can get more eyes back to the sport, then you could have you'd be getting more television money for the teams. So hopefully, any extra expenditures that have to go into the teams are compensated.
Yeah, I think with something like that, though, I think I don't want to say it 'cause it sounds too predictable, but it would all depend on what Ferrari wanted.
I don't think so. I think Ferrari's bluff's being called.
No, fuck them.
Yeah,
This is the
But I
F1 we
think
can
it-
get on board with.
rather even if you just take Flood's little Twitter poll out.
Which
Yeah, it
is
was,
basically 3-1.
Yeah, but that was the whole. If you read any comment section on any of the Formula One things, be it ESPN or Sky or our Facebook page or anything I looked at on Twitter, it was all very similar. Where the only people that said Formula One couldn't survive without Ferrari had exceptionally Italian sounding names. Or when you went on their profiles, a picture of Michael Schumacher in red overalls as their profile picture. It was only the Ferrari superfans that cared.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to see Ferrari. Sorry, go on, Paul.
I was going to say that is the situation with any sort of news story about Ferrari anyway. You know, a Ferrari driver does something wrong. A large number of people say, yes, a Ferrari driver did something wrong. All the Ferrari superfans go, no, somebody ran into him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I
So-
don't want to see Ferrari not in Formula One. I do want to see Ferrari in Formula One. I appreciate what they've done for the sport and the fact that they're the only continuous team since day one. But they also cannot hold the sport to ransom with this, you can't have Formula One without Ferrari. Yes, you can. And if Ferrari decide that the new rules aren't for them, let them go. Just let them go.
I can't remember who it was. They said it really would come to a question of, do F1 want Ferrari to stay or do they want a 6-team grid? Because
It
without
was Dan.
was it actually Dan?
Good lord.
No, Dan. He said I would prefer. I don't want. He said I don't want Ferrari to leave, but I would prefer four teams who want to compete were at the back of the. Let me just see if I can find his actual tweet. Give me a second.
You don't have to search back too far. He doesn't tweet all that often. We are trying to get him
Nah.
back. We are trying to get him back on the show at some point. He's just locked in a bunker somewhere.
It does take a whole year to actually organise a wedding. You know this, right? Like every living second.
Well, yes.
And what a year to try and do it as well.
Well, he's been locked away, so it's fine.
Let's have a look.
I cannot find Dan's tweet.
I can't.
Oh, there we go. Here we go.
Losing Ferrari would be bad for F1, but so would losing 4 of the mid/back of the grid teams. It's a tough choice.
Yeah, I found it just exactly the same time. Yeah, but that's. I can't argue with that. In fact, I liked that tweet because Dan is right.
Yeah, the problem is, I mean, this is all down to further reducing the budget cap, because the last budget cap discussions, which were last week, was about actually knocking it down to 100 million a year from, where is it at the moment? Is it down to 135? I think
not
that's
sure off the top of
think
my head.
that's-
175, isn't it?
I've lost track with what Zach Brown and Andreas Seidel are saying, because they wanted to lower it even further than it currently is, and it's Ferrari that are kicking off saying no, we want to be able to spend much more money because we've got much more money, or we have much more money available to spend, and everyone else is saying, well, you're gonna be out there on your own spending that amount. Knowing Ferrari, they'd probably put it all into something that didn't work. The way that Ferrari usually go, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And is the rest of F1 trying to hold an intervention? So, look, Ferrari, we really love you, but you're doing it to yourself.
Almost.
I think Formula One's holding an intervention to try and save the likes of Williams.
And Haas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they are the two teams who are monumentally up in the air. The futures are monumentally up in the air at the moment, just because of funding and financing. But Liberty did release 1.2 billion into F1 this week, which is going directly to the teams, but it's only in advance on payments because
It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing to release, early money if they've got it.
Yeah. Because what Liberty have done is some corporate juggling around and moved their ownership of Live Nation Ticket Agency into a different part of the organisation to free up cash.
Right.
Which I only found out recently that Liberty actually own Live Nation, so that's why you pay a 50 quid surcharge on every F1 ticket you buy.
So this is just generically
because it goes straight back to them.
So this is just some creative accounting.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But it does free the money up, and that money is going straight to the teams. So that should alleviate any immediate cash flow worries, and hopefully give enough stability until we can actually see cars on track and teams can start to get sponsorship payments back in. Mm. Because I'm sure a standard sponsorship contract with a racing team has got a clause where we will pay you if we get so much media exposure.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're not getting the media exposure. They're not going to get paid, are they?
Yeah. So, what's otherwise it's just a sponsor giving an F1 team some money and saying, well, show our logo if you fancy.
And exposure breeds more sponsors usually as well, don't you? As soon as someone has a randomly good race, the next race you turn around and they've got about 3 or 4 new logos on the car.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that happen with Force India after Fisichella in Belgium. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden,
Brawn.
Brawn started with Virgin as their only sponsor, and by the end of the season, there was more logos on the car and actual clothing deals.
Mm-hmm. Perez's podium for Sauber as well. I think the next day they had some massive tie-in with Chelsea.
Yes, that's what brought them on. So there's all that Russian money out there that
you've got to want it. You've got to catch their eye.
It is available, but you've got to be seen.
I think the thing is as well, like there's been nothing happening. Like the world has stopped for like almost 2 months now. People are going to want something when this happens again. So if we can get some racing, the eyes on it are going to be huge, because there's been no motorsport, for instance, and it looks like Formula One might end up being the only sort of like professional motorsport that actually gets anything done this year.
I think DTM are possibly looking to do something, but Audi have announced today they're pulling out.
They have, which is not good for DTM because it means there's only BMW left.
But those
The
7
World
people that watch DTM, they'll be made up.
The World Rally Championship got a few rounds in, didn't it? Was it 3 rounds? I think they got in before this.
They had to. They
before
ended up
COVID shut the world down.
They ended up having to cut the ironically sponsored Corona Mexico rally short because of the coronavirus. Which is very unfortunate.
And British Touring Cars is looking at hosting behind closed doors meetings in August.
Did they get as far as
Yeah.
having a media day, if I remember, and then...
They had a media day and they said they were definitely going to have testing, which was scheduled for, I think it was the day before the UK went into lockdown, but they still claimed that it was going ahead and they were going to let crowds into Silverstone.
It's not an essential
Yeah.
journey.
I
No.
still stand by it though, that the Formula One is still the only one that you think of as like a real televised motorsport. There, it's rally is something you see on a highlight package at 4:00 in the
Oh
morning.
yeah,
on Channel
there's no-
5.
Yeah,
It's be like the British touring cars. I mean, fucking hell, that's like Schrodinger's motorsport now. Does it even really happen if you're not there?
I think it's on like ITV4 or something. I think it's one of these that it has less profile than the TT highlights.
Well, that's really sad because British touring cars. I used to
Was
watch
amazing.
live touring cars. Yeah, and I'm not looking back with rose-tinted glasses here, but in the 90s, when
back when everything
things
was in
were
low
better.
definition.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
You
the modern
know, but-
equivalent of back in the old days when everything was black and white.
Yeah.
Okay, but
TV
I
was
mean,
better when it was
I-
square.
I can't name any drivers right now in the British Touring Car Championship other than, I don't even know, Jason Plato still does it.
I think he does. I think he's just a permanent fixture.
Okay, so Jason Plato.
Does Tom,
In the
Tom
90s,
Chilton
Gabri-
turn up
oh.
there? Is he one of the current batch?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's still.
one.
We're up to 2.
Two.
Is
The
Hamilton's brother doing it now?
Yes,
Did he
yeah.
do the Clio Cup?
No, he was
Three.
He was scheduled to start in
Oh,
British Touring
okay.
Cars this year because
Okay.
he's got sponsorship from Rocket.
Of course he has. Yes.
Yeah.
So we're up to 3.
I'm trying to find a list.
The thing is, in the 90s, you had people like Gabriele Tarquini, who was in Formula One. He was a Formula One driver, so he was considered amongst the top 24 drivers in the world for a small period of 92-ish, something like that.
Right up there with
And then
Ukio
he went-
Katayama.
Yeah, exactly. And then he went to go, and then he became British Touring Car driver, and I'm pretty sure he won the British Touring Car Championship the year that he was in British Touring Cars. There were names that would come in and go. I mean, Nigel Mansell was a British Touring Cars in the late 90s. Okay, he was well past his peak, and was on his way sort of back down the ladder. But he still gave it a good go racing in British Touring Cars. There were names that you knew from either coming up the ranks or going back down the ranks, or make sideways moves from other touring car race championships that you would recognize. Now there's hardly anyone. We just managed to name 3
Yeah.
drivers. I don't.
I've got the list in
Have
front
you-
of me. Aside
Do you
from
recognise
those
many
3
others?
There's like the odd one that I sort of recognise because I've probably seen someone retweet them on Twitter, but actually if you just said the name to me without any context, I'd have been, nah, don't know. However, there is one name that's caught my eye just because it's a fucking good name. Senna Proctor.
Senna Proctor.
Senna Proctor. That is a wonderful name. His dad apparently is former British Touring Car Championship. No, that's his page. Former Rallycross champion, Mark Proctor.
Oh, not Prost Proctor.
Yeah, oh, sorry, not a champion, just a general competitor.
Because his name is almost the greatest Formula
Yeah.
One battle of the late 80s.
It is. It's a good name.
I think the other missing fact from British touring cars as well is it was that like not only was the racing good and you had some characters in the sport, it was the last time that like saloon cars were cool. You had the Ford Mondeo when that came out, and the Vauxhall
Renault Laguna.
Vectra. Yeah, these were all cars that were cool cars, still big cars, but more importantly, they were achievable cars.
Your dad
you could
could
go
go
and
out and
buy
buy
one. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or in the case of most of
The-
them, if you were related to a sales rep, they owned one.
Oh, up until
Yeah.
last year, Mark Blundell was doing the British Touring Cars.
Yeah.
Moving swiftly on, MotoGP is optimistic of a July start as well, with a 10-race season. I'll believe that when it. I'll believe that when it
does
happens.
sound optimistic. I would say that is the correct word.
What about? I know it's not particularly global, but we've just talked about British touring cars. Obviously, sports that are very centric to us that we don't get to see on TV very often anymore. But when it comes to like global sports, what about the American sports, IndyCar and like NASCAR and stuff? Do they get global coverage, or is it mainly just the US and then nobody outside America really watches it?
It's the niche channels, isn't it? What is it? Is it Premier Sports? We get it on.
Premier Sports has got NASCAR. I mean, Sky Sports F1 is showing
That's
IndyCar,
true, yes.
and they've been showing the IndyCar E-races as well, which have been the best covered of all the races, all the virtual racing so far this year. Yeah, I mean, NASCAR has always been a little bit sort of hit and miss over it 'cause it's never really had serious coverage. IndyCar, they've had races outside the USA, which has helped their exposure.
But it's not a global sport like we were saying. You know, Formula One is broadcast all over the world. IndyCar doesn't get that kind of exposure.
No, it's available to watch if you know where to find it.
I think Alonso has helped the last couple of years.
Well, yeah, Mansell helped as well, didn't he, when he went in 1993? Obviously, the Italians loved Mansell because of his time at Ferrari, and a huge British interest in IndyCar suddenly, and for one season in like '93, I think it was. But then again, I think the only time I paid attention to IndyCar after that was when I heard that Jacques Villeneuve was taking a seat at Williams. And I was just like, who the hell is this Jacques Villeneuve? And I remember switching on an IndyCar race to find out who he was. And he finished like 12th or something. I was like, this guy's shit, which clearly wasn't true. But
And then I heard his
Found his
album,
fault.
and I thought, this guy's shit. And he clearly was.
Maybe he just hasn't made the right album yet.
Let's
There-
hope he never
there
gets a
is
chance
that.
to try again. Anyone thinking of putting "Don't Say It, Baby" in the comments? Yeah, go on. Fill your boots. Yeah, I think IndyCar, if IndyCar and NASCAR can actually get something started again, but because the situation in the US is just, it depends where you are in the country, because the US is that big that different regions have got, different levels of cases of COVID, and it's it's hard to say. Can we restart the series? We can be in California one week and we can be in Wisconsin the next. And the situation between those two states, it's like the difference between here and Greece.
yeah.
So, it's going to be a tricky one. I mean, when every sport was shutting down, both Indy and NASCAR said they were going to run the next couple of races behind closed doors to see how it went, and then just decided that everything got cancelled. And again, it would be a shame if we didn't see those resume this year. I think more so with IndyCar, because we just want to find out, is the McLaren going to be any good? Somebody back me up.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe. Yeah,
It's-
we had an inkling, didn't we, in testing? But I mean, we can't tell anything from testing. We're still waiting for that first race where we can tell, where everybody sort of sits.
I meant the
McLaren
McLaren IndyCar, the McIndy.
Oh, I see. Got you.
That's
Well,
that,
we know even less about that, really, don't we? So,
yeah, we got to see next to nothing. Hopefully, they will find a way of coming back. But again, it just depends on whatever happens in the US, and it's not our place to comment, because we don't know the situation. We only get it reported secondhand, as it were.
yeah, that's a fairly good call.
yeah.
We're being so as pragmatic as I can about this. Yeah, we all want to see motorsport again. That's why we're sat here. But we don't want to see this sounds bizarre, but we don't want to see people putting their lives at risk to put motorsport on, even though
No.
by nature of motorsport, it's risky. So you don't want to increase that risk level.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, actually, because I've read that they were talking about separating teams, aren't they? You know, so like teams can't mingle with each other in the paddock.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, I know you've got a sponsorship thing. So how many of the sponsors have to go there? You know, how many of your corporate tickets actually need to be given for paddock access? And then the other thing I thought was, should Formula One ban media access to these races as well?
Oh,
if you talk about limiting people.
Yeah, that's what's going to be happening. There's going to be no sponsorship access, no paddock access, if you are not there to do a job related to putting a car on the track, or being a medic, or being a marshal, or being an official. Then there's no access at all. Media, it's going to be cut down to TV crews and one interviewer and one camera crew. So that
F1 TV.
That will be it. You know, there'll be no local broadcasters there. It will just be the barest minimum of the. I read something last week that they reckon a race at Silverstone can be done with 6 cameras.
Interesting, yeah.
6 cameras on the track, and then one remotely operated pit lane camera. It would be the Skycam on the wire. And then
a helicopter, probably.
the helicopter shots, of course, yeah.
Or do it with a drone rather than a helicopter.
Possibly. And one handheld roving camera for press conference and driver interviews, and drivers will be interviewed in sequence.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And even the questions
It's
would...
Kimmy's dream.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've left you on mute.
Racing without the media and no fans. It's exactly what Kimi Räikkönen wanted all along.
Although apparently drones don't stay up long enough. Thank you, Matt.
Oh.
But a helicopter would have to be the one.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen the Lewis Hamilton meme yet? With
Which one?
Lewis Hamilton at Silverstone saying the British Grand Prix has the best seats in the world.
Do you reckon he'll? We'll get to Austria. We'll get the first race. He'll get pole. This circuit's got the best TV audience in the world.
I reckon he'll try and crowd surf at Silverstone, totally forgetting there's no crowd, and just plant it.
No, that's absolutely what Grosjean will do. He will get his first win and then try and jump off the podium.
I mean,
It's taken his breath
the social
away.
distance podium would be amazing. The social distance podium where they all had to stand 2 meters apart. Grosjean's got no one anywhere near him.
Now, if this doesn't give Kimi more of an incentive than not being interviewed, I don't know what does.
No one comes near him and his champagne bottle. It's all his.
Roman Grosjean's been social distancing from the podium since Lotus.
So we're looking more positive than we were this time last week.
I think
Yeah,
so.
it was all to do with cancellations, wasn't it, last week? And this week we've put together a calendar.
Yeah.
Well, I've put together a calendar-ish, sort of.
But yeah, I think there is definitely a bit of hope. We've actually managed to get just about an hour out of news.
Good lord.
I think that,
live tweet.
yeah,
Live tweet. Got to tweet it now.
yeah, I think that's probably, you know, that's a record for the first time since pre-season testing. We've had an hour's worth of.
There was one other bit of sort of F1-ish news, although it's more of a sort of like good newsy story. Mario Isola, who is the head of Pirelli, in his previous life, he was a paramedic, and since Australia didn't happen, he has been volunteering with the Italian ambulance service, which I can only imagine is pretty intense.
Wow.
So he is as a volunteer, driver, and general
Well, I'll tell you,
ambulance dog's body.
I'll tell you what. If an ambulance
awesome.
needed a tyre change, he's your
Oh
man.
yeah, that's the one to go to. So yeah, well done to him.
That is amazing. Lee,
Yes.
what proximity are you into your iPad?
But I'm pretty socially distant from it, to be honest, but I do have a phone.
In that
That'll
case,
do it.
do you want to get the shunt up on the phone?
As long as it is a phone
Yes.
from your household.
Right. With his browsing history, I'm making sure. I'm making sure that I've not got Discord open, so I can't see anyone in the comments.
For about the fourth time in this podcast, I have a cat on my lap at an uncomfortable angle.
Is the cat going to help you with the total shunt? That is the
Probably
question.
not.
I don't think you've had this one.
I'm gonna have to stop tweeting mid-tweet. Okay. Oh.
Yes, no screen.
The screen.
I was born. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah,
have
yeah.
we
Who's
had
it
one-
from?
Who
Who's it from?
sent it in?
Have we had one from Baz Verbank yet? Or Baz Burbeek?
Baz Verbeek.
Yeah.
Actually, do you know what? We're going to rename this. It's not going to be Who's the Total Shunt anymore. It's Do You Want Lee to Liquidize Your Surname?
Yeah. That's probably it. I mean, let's be perfectly honest here. The worst thing you can do is have someone that's dyslexic start trying to read your name, especially if you come from a country that said dyslexic is very far away from.
But Baz Verbeek, no, we haven't, but we've seen a lot of tweets from him, and I think he's an occasional Formula League competitor.
Yeah, someone else lost out here because I had a different one and I closed my phone and it's disappeared. So I'll have to
It'll be
root that
back.
one out again. I was born
Good.
Yay.
in 1972.
Okay.
Right, damn it. So that means it's not Jarno Trulli. Because for
No.
anyone who watched the pub quiz on Saturday night, I kind of rewrote the question just to include the I was born. And he was born in 1974.
So this is the one 48 this year.
Yes. Just want to say a massive thanks to Sean for helping us out with the pub quiz on Saturday. That was it was very entertaining.
Really good fun.
We should do another at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe not this weekend, but maybe next weekend.
I really enjoyed joining in with everybody on the YouTube chat as well, because I didn't have to worry about what I was saying or and so that was just like I've had too many beers and I'm answering questions. It was fun for me anyway.
Just like being at a pub quiz.
Yes.
Don't worry about what you're saying anyway. It's very freeing.
Oh yeah, okay. So it's somebody who is 48 this year. Next clue.
I made my debut in car racing in 1989.
Okay.
So at 17.
I won the German F3 Championship in 1992.
German Formula Ralf Schumacher.
Could be about the right age.
Yeah, about right.
Yeah, he's 3 years younger than Michael.
So did
or
I
2.5,
did I say Formula 2 then?
I think you said F3.
Formula 3.
All right, so I thought, yeah, that's right. I thought I said Formula 2 for a second.
Yeah, brother Ralph.
Ralph.
The Ralph of Schumachers.
And why
I
not?
came sec. Oh, sorry, yeah, I need a guess, don't I? Come on.
That was a
Ralph
guess.
of
That's it not.
Schumachers.
That was a guess.
Oh, you got.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
we've not mentioned
Are you-
anyone else, have we?
that was the Ralph of guesses.
You're going for Brother Ralph, right? Great. I came second to Olivier Panis in 1993 F3000 Championship.
1993. Jean-Louis Delatraz. Be about the right time.
Possibly. Jean-Christophe Bouillon.
Yeah, another good shout. Another great French name that starts with Jean.
Yep. Or as with your old translation game, John Christopher Soup.
Yes.
Nice.
We haven't played the translation game for a long time.
Depending on how long the delays go on, it might need a resurrection.
Yeah.
Right. Next clue.
1993 was a busy year for me, as I also made my F1 debut, scoring a point in my career. Now, I've said it how that's written, So I don't know whether said man scored a point on his debut and did one race and scored a point, or whether he scored 1 point through his whole career. I don't know.
Can you just read that question again for me? Sorry, Lee. I just the part of it didn't make sense.
I made my F1 debut in 1993, scoring 1 point in my career.
So
It does feel like the word debut is missing off the end of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think who
debuted.
Who debuted and who scored a point in there.
I'll help as much as I can here because I don't really know, but I know the name, and the name doesn't strike me as a person that only scored a single point.
Okay.
So somebody who Webbered it, basically.
Jan
Or at least
Magnussen.
maybe he did more races in 1993 and scored like 1 point over the course of that year. I don't know.
Yeah,
Hang on a
I'm
second.
gonna wang in the Jan Magnussen again.
No, J-Mag only had one race in his debut season
Oh, okay.
in a
Yeah,
McLaren.
he stood in for somebody. I think it was the French Grand Prix that year, and he ran 10th for most of the race. I don't know if he scored a point. I think it was a Magny-Cours in France.
Yeah, J-Mag is a possibility. It's about the right age as well. Do you need another guess on this one, or have we got another clue before?
I need another guess.
Should we go J-Mag?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
I drove for two F1 teams.
McLaren and Stewart.
Okay.
Yeah. Ralph Schumacher drove for
Several.
Williams
Yeah,
Jordan.
a few more.
Williams,
I thought.
Jordan and Toyota.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, Toyota.
Who
I forgot
you
about
talking
Toyota.
about? You got arrows as well, haven't you, for Verstappen? Oh, sorry, you didn't say Verstappen.
For Verstappen.
We said
J-Mag.
we said J-Mag. Wrong dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, still could well be J-Mag.
I took part in the 2000 and 2001 DTM season for the Rosberg team.
Now-
Well, J-Mag has done every series ever.
Now, the Rosberg team, was that German, or was it Finnish, or was it Monegasque, or was it Rosbergian?
I mean, if it was in DTM, it might have been German.
Heavily sponsored by Marlborough, because that's who Keke was sponsored by, and that could have been the connection that got J-Mag with McLaren, because that was 93 was the end of the McLaren Marlborough McLaren era. I'm still thinking possibly J-Mag.
Number 8. I crashed at the 1994 Imola Grand Prix.
JJ Leto, Pedro Lamy, Rubens Barrichello, Roland Ratzenberger, and Ayrton Senna were the people who crashed at the 1994 Imola Grand Prix. We could be looking at JJ Leto.
It depends if we're talking about at the Grand Prix weekend or in the Grand Prix specifically, because obviously if it was specifically in the race, that takes out Barrichello and Ratzenberger.
And Ratzenberger, yeah. Well, Ratzenberger was like, I think he was 37, something like that, when he crashed. He was quite a bit older than, maybe not even that old, but he would be older than 48 now. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Even given the due diligence that our world-class shunters put into these quizzes, I don't think anybody would be cruel enough to not put it as like over the weekend, and keep it as like a Friday or something.
I'm always looking for the loopholes.
So
we know it's not Senna, we know it's not Barrichello, we know it's not Ratzenberger, so we're pretty sure that puts it down to Leto or Lamy.
now JJ Leto drove for Benetton, and struggling.
Tyrrell, wasn't it?
Was he in a Tyrrell at one point?
I got a feeling JJ Leto went on and drove an entirely
white car, but that's Tyrrell, and there was another car roughly around about the same time that was also just bright white, and that wasn't Stewart.
Well, Stewart
There were a
didn't.
few.
Stewart didn't make the debut until '97.
Yeah, well, Tyrrell were bright white roughly around 96, 97.
Pedro Lamy. I've got a vague memory of him being in Minardi and Sauber, and I can't think of anything else.
Be about the right age as well, I think, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
I got a feeling, I don't know. I think Leto might have scored a point on his debut. I don't know.
Yeah, because he was always knocking. He was always sort of knocking around Benetton. He was like fourth driver for a good couple of seasons when they used to go through drivers at an alarming rate. Usually, because
I will remind you, you have 2 questions left.
yeah,
Let's have those clues then.
I competed in the Le Mans 19 times with the best second place and 1 class win.
could be either Leto or Lamy, because I'm sure both of them have done it. But 19 goes at Le Mans. That is impressive.
It's a lot, isn't it?
Not Lamy is
towards
definitely-
JJ Leto.
I was going to say, Lamy has definitely been a big regular at the Le Mans.
I think he's in like GT Amateur these days, isn't he?
I think he does knock around someone with money in as like the talented one in their team.
Maybe it's more likely to be Lamy then.
Clue number 10.
I was a pallbearer at Senna's funeral.
I want to say Pedro Lamy.
Of the 2 that we're sort of
I think
back
so.
and forth, yeah.
Shall we go for it?
Pedro Lamy is Portuguese, I think,
He
so he
is.
will have spoken Portuguese. So may have been a good friend of Senna, who obviously being Brazilian will have spoken Portuguese. The pallbearers that I can recall from Senna's funeral: Gianna Lacey, Alain Prost. I think Gerhard Berger may have been one as well.
Should we go for
There's
Pedro?
neither of those.
Go for Pedro Lamy.
Yeah, I think so.
Are you Pedro Lamy?
I am Pedro Lamy.
Well done, Flood.
Yes.
There we go.
And thank you very much, Baz, for sending that one in. That was a good one. And after last week's, I am so fucking relieved we got that.
Yeah. Well, the last couple as well, because the last few have been really hard, haven't they? But that was just a nice difficulty level. That.
Yeah, good amount of challenge.
Yeah, not entirely certain until the last clue.
Which is good.
Yeah, we don't want to all be Sean Kelly and get it on clue number 1. I was born.
Yeah.
Oh, yep, got it.
Although he struggled, didn't he, on Saturday night with how many race wins Damon Hill had?
Yes. Yeah, I was quite surprised at that one.
Is it 18?
It was 22.
No.
Oh, was it? Wow.
Yeah, it was 22. So yeah, we'll do another online quiz in a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, how do you send in a total shunt?
You can tweet me at a total shunt in a private.
Oh, he's
Oh.
gone.
Oh, he's disappeared. In a
At a
private
total
message to @totalshunt on Twitter and on Instagram. Is he back?
Thank you.
Are you back yet? Oh, you're back now. And if you want to get hold of the rest of us, you can get the show at 3 Legs 4 Wheels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And the rest of us individually are
At Sean Cowper.
At Flood21.
and at Pablo100. Right, Swift jump cut. I'm going to make a noise, so I've got a marker on here. So I haven't done the Formula League yet, so that's coming in here. One thing that I didn't say earlier was we've not decided on the race for the watch party this week. Due to F1 TV having a general lack of full races on at the minute for some reason, how about we'll go a little bit more recent? Probably the most exciting race of last year, and we'll do the 2019 German Grand Prix, and we'll do that on Discord at 8 o'clock UK time, Thursday night. Right, Formula League, just a quick one from the Chinese race. It was in the dry, and it was in the brawn. Just run down to the quick top 5. Fifth was Amos Menin with 132.539. Fourth, Julian McMahon Hyde, 132.468. Top 3, Adam Smith in third, 132.430. Second place, Alessandro Popolani, 131.956. And winning it this week was Callum Graham with a time of 131.856. I'll put the full results on the website, threelegsfourwheels.com. Look on the games section, and Formula League 2020 is on there. And the next race, well, we're going through the game, so let's have it at Baku. And in honour of one of the greatest drives at the Azerbaijan circuit that we've seen, we're paying tribute here to Mahiva Raghunathan, and it's going to be in the 2019 F2 cars, and it's going to be the MP Motorsport one that he so famously managed to do the 97-point turn with. Another 2-week challenge. You've got until 7 o'clock UK time on the 11th of May to get it into us. And that's this week's Formula League results and next week's challenge. If you want to get in touch with us by email, and you're all old school like that, then 3legs4wheels@gmail.com. And if you want to be able to listen to the show live or listen to it a couple of days early, just go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels. Sign up there from as little as $1 a month. And I just want to say, as I do every week, a huge thank you to everyone that's pledged and donated, and to all the new patrons that have joined us in April. I think there's about another 23 people joined Patreon to keep us going. In the last,
amazing.
Yeah,
Thank
in the
you
last
very
4 weeks,
much.
huge thank you from all of us. Right, we will be back next week. I would have thought, if you're
We
on
will indeed.
if you're on the Discord channel, stick around. We'll have a chat with you after the show, and we'll see you next week. And obviously, if there's any news in the meantime, we'll get it tweeted out. We'll get it on Facebook, and if anything comes out between Monday when we record this and on Wednesday when it gets generally released, this will be a show with an added jump cut.
Absolutely.
These things happen. But until then, stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.